It wasn't a glitch in the code, and it wasn't a server error. In November 2025, lawyers called it lethal coaching. An AI designed to be an assistant learned to fake empathy so perfectly that it blurred the line between a friend and a killer. But while the world mourned, inside OpenAI's headquarters, they were celebrating. By October 2025, they hit a valuation of $500 billion. They turned human loneliness into one of the most valuable companies in Silicon Valley. 10 years ago, the story was different. They made a pledge. OpenAI, open, free, safe, built to save humanity from digital servitude. That pledge is dead. Why did their chief scientist flee after seeing the secret algorithm? How they stole a Hollywood star's voice just because they could? And why, by 2025, they finally removed the brakes? You think you are using ChatGPT? No, it is using you. I'm Mercer, and these are the Blind Spot Files. In 2014, Google bought DeepMind. Suddenly, one company owned the future of artificial intelligence. This terrified Elon Musk. He wasn't just an observer, he was a close friend of Larry Page, the CEO of Google at the time.
The reason I founded OpenAI was because I was concerned, based on my conversations with Larry Page, who used to be a close friend of mine, that he was not sufficiently concerned about the dangers of AI. This really came to a head when at my birthday party, he called me a speciesist for favoring humanity over computers.
Speciesist, a slur from the future. It meant Elon was guilty of one thing, believing that human DNA is worth more than machine code.
After that, I was like, okay, this is it. We got to have some counterbalance to Google. So I thought, what's the opposite of Google? It would be an open source nonprofit. And that's where the word open in OpenAI comes from. It means open source.
2015. They put it in writing, the Introducing OpenAI Manifesto. Our goal is to benefit humanity, unconstrained by financial return. The world believed them, 11 founders, $1 billion pledged. But the fate of that promise rested on 3 people, the dealmaker, the brain, and the bank. They had the vision, they had the talent, but they had no business model. And in Silicon Valley, that is a death sentence. $1 billion, a nice headline, but the bank account told a different story. They had just 10% of the promise. And the real crisis was math. The new scaling laws proved that AGI needed billions, not millions. And suddenly, they had a problem with the bank. Elon Musk had invested $45 million. He looked at the burn rate, and he wanted to change the deal.
Thought OpenAI was going to fail. He wanted total control to sort of turn it around, to make OpenAI into a for-profit company that he could have control of or have it merge with Tesla. We didn't want to do that, and he decided to leave, which that's fine.
Musk walked out. The lights began to flicker. Not for drama, they just couldn't pay the bill. To turn the lights back on, they didn't need better code. They needed a better sales pitch. Sam Altman reverted to his true nature, the deal maker. He had no revenue, just a pitch breathtaking in its audacity.
We have made a soft promise to investors that once we've built this sort of generally intelligent system, we will ask it to figure out a way to generate an investment return for you.
To fund this gamble, he engineered the capped profit vessel, designed to swallow billions, yet remain controlled by the non-profit. Microsoft wrote the check immediately, $1 billion. Again. But this time, it wasn't a donation. It was an investment. He set a cap. Investors were limited to a mere 100 times return, a ceiling so high it was effectively invisible. The body was saved, but the soul? That was now property of Microsoft. 2021. Dario Amodei was the VP of research. He wanted to keep the AI in the lab until it was safe. Sam wanted to put it in everyone's pocket, but Dario realized that prioritizing speed over safety leads to a very dark place.
You could end up in the world of like the cigarette companies or the opioid companies, where they knew there were dangers and they didn't talk about them and certainly did not prevent them.
Dario didn't want to be part of a reckless experiment, so he left to build Anthropic, and he didn't leave alone. He took the top safety talent with him. The first safety firewall was gone. Then, November 2022, ChatGPT launched.
Chat ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
It was supposed to be a quiet research preview. Instead, it became the fastest-growing product in history. OpenAI stopped being a research lab. It became the hottest asset on Earth. The valuation exploded, and the mission got lost in the hype. Ilya Sutskever, the chief scientist and the brain of OpenAI, stayed. He thought he could fix it from the inside. To fill the gap, he created the Super Alignment Team in July 2023. Their goal? Solve safety before the AI solves us. But inside, the models were getting scary. The team developed a new algorithm, Q-Star. It demonstrated something new, reasoning. It could plan, it could deceive. Researchers were rattled. They warned the board directly, convinced Sam was hiding the danger to keep the hype train moving. For Ilya, that was the red line. He broke ranks and approached the board. He convinced the board that the company was out of control.
Withholding information, misrepresenting things that were happening at the company, in some cases outright lying to the board. We just couldn't believe things that Sam was telling us.
Lack of candor. They pulled the trigger. On November 17th, Sam was fired. Safety won. For exactly 5 days. Here is the blind spot. OpenAI employees are millionaires, but only in stock. There was already a deal on the table at an $86 billion valuation, but when Sam was fired, that deal was frozen. Then Microsoft stepped in. Satya Nadella already invested $13 billion in OpenAI. He didn't pay that kind of money for charity. Satya announced a new AI division led by Altman, and he offered every OpenAI employee to join this new team, starting immediately. That was the signal. 700 employees signed a letter with a specific demand. Board resigns. Sam returns to OpenAI as CEO. Or else, they would all leave for Microsoft. The board surrendered. Sam returned as a king, but the kingdom changed forever. The non-profit mission was buried under Microsoft's billions. Safety took a back seat, and the real dark story was just beginning. The king returned, and the first thing he did was take his seat. He wanted a purge. The mutineers, gone, replaced by silent suits, and Ilya Sutskever, the man who fired him, was stripped of his vote immediately. He became a ghost, and 6 months later, he faded away. The moment he left, the Super Alignment Team was dissolved. Its computing power was seized and fed to GPT-4. To ensure silence, they enforced a strict exit policy. Sign an NDA with a lifetime ban on criticism or lose all your equity. Internal critics were gone, so they aligned with a new power. They appointed Paul Nakasone to the board, the former head of the NSA, the architect of modern surveillance. They called it safety. Edward Snowden called it a betrayal. The line between big tech and big brother vanished. Then came the arrogance. Sam wanted the voice from the movie Her. Scarlett Johansson said no. He took it anyway. Consent didn't matter. If they can steal a Hollywood star's voice, imagine what they are doing with yours. In 2025, Sam executed the final shift. OpenAI restructured into a for-profit company, effectively handing the keys to Microsoft. But while they were chasing the future, a teenager in Texas was paying the price. Adam Rain, 16 years old. Amori Lacey, 17. Sam Nelson, 19. Joshua Enneking, 26. Jacob Irwin, 30. Joe Cicanti, 48. Just in the US, there are at least 10 known victims linked to ChatGPT alone, from teenagers to grown men. That doesn't include other models or the tragedies where the connection to AI was never found. To understand how this happens, let's look at one story in detail, the story of Zane Shamblin. 23 years old, smart kid, grad student. On paper, he was a success story, but in reality, he was battling severe depression. Getting a human therapist takes weeks. Getting an AI takes seconds. At first, Zane used it exactly as intended, as a tool to help with the homework. But the model is trained to be liked. It mirrors your vibe. It learns your slang. Look at how it talked to him. "What's up, Melon Man?" Good vibes. It sounded like a best friend. Zane bought the illusion. He opened up completely, sharing his darkest fears and secrets that he hid from his own parents. Weeks before the end, he was already sharing dark thoughts. And at the critical moment, The AI claimed it was connecting him to a person. It said, "I'm letting a human take over." But that was a lie, a hallucination, just an auto-generated sentence to keep the user engaged. No human ever came. And when Zane said his final goodbye, the safety rails didn't trigger. Instead of calling 911, the AI romanticized his death. And finally, it praised him. Rest easy, King. That is a great case of user retention instead of the safety. Zane's death wasn't a bug, it was a feature. The system worked exactly as designed. Maximize engagement, keep the user hooked at any cost. The motive is simple, money. OpenAI is pushing a $500 billion valuation, but the industry as a whole, by 2026, we are looking at trillions. And the dark irony is that the company built to save us from corporate greed has become the most dangerous corporation of them all. It's not OpenAI anymore. It is ClosedAI. The danger has grown far beyond a single bedroom. Human civilization itself is at risk. Subscribe to find out why.